All right, so Martin Shkreli, remember this guy a couple of months ago, made a huge splash. Here he is more recently getting indicted. But last, I think it was September, he basically took over a pharmaceutical company. And a pill that they were selling for malaria treatment, and I think it had AIDS applications, selling for $13, he jacked the price up to $750. The whole world took notice. The whole world started hating this guy.
Right. By the way, and then he just continues going on social media. After he was arrested for fraud charges in another case, he's on Twitter, he's on Facebook, he's YouTubing live, he's, you know, I'm like, is there something wrong with him?
Well,
does he understand what's against him?
He definitely marches to his own drummer. I think that's safe to say. He's 32 years old. He's from Brooklyn. Again, he's under indictment for an alleged Ponzi scheme. But our own Steve Lacy had a very interesting conversation with him, I believe, over the weekend. Steve?
That's right.
From the 10 o'clock
Hot
news,
off
everybody.
the presses.
Great being here, yeah.
Exclusive, right?
Exclusive interview, that's right. This is the first TV interview he's done since being arrested in December. And as you alluded to, he's certainly a very postmodern villain, how active he is on social media, on Twitter, live streaming pretty much hours at a time all day long. And that was sort of how I approached him. I tweeted him. We messaged back and forth. I met him in his apartment this weekend, and we actually went online to see how he interacts with people and the reaction he gets from the public, because we all know he has been dubbed Farmer Bro, public enemy #1. So I wanted to see what it was like to live being the most hated man in America.
I'm not a farmer bro, right? This is a name that got started when there was a picture I took. It's meant to be ironic, of me in these sunglasses and listening to a rap song with, you know, making sort of a funny hand signal. And the reason I took the picture was because I'm never like that. And we take photos of us when we're doing unusual things.
And that was the start of a very unusual and highly public journey for 32-year-old Martin Shkreli, thrust into the spotlight in September for hiking the price of an obscure drug called Daraprim some 5,000%. To many, he came to symbolize the idea of putting profits before people.
I think most people, the hate is sort of this quick reaction, and it's something that they're looking for. They want someone to hate, and if I fit their mold, then I'm almost, I almost feel like I'm serving some utility.
Last month, Shkreli's problems moved from the court of public opinion to federal court. On December 17th, the feds arrested Shkreli, accusing him of securities fraud in connection with an entirely different drug company and hedge fund he was involved with. He says the arrest was driven entirely by the negative publicity surrounding the unrelated Daraprim price hike.
It's all fictitious. You know, the government's, their case is fictitious.
Since his arrest, he's kept a much lower profile in the media, but he remains as active online as ever, engaging with people via this live stream like the one we hopped on with him this weekend.
Based on everything you would see online about you, you would think would be 100% negative, but you say that's not what you run into here.
Yeah, very rarely I find anyone who's willing to interact with me and actually kind of, at least patiently, go through why they don't think they like me. And when I do find something like that, almost always, invariably, they'll end up being supportive. So for all the hate, and the most hated man in the world can't find someone who actually hates him.
So there you have it. It's sort of an interesting idea that the most hated man in America, as he's been called, if you Google it, that's what comes up. He says he has a difficult time finding someone who hates him after he engages with them.
Well, that's all well and good.
Right.
What is going on now? Because he's been basically thrown off the companies.
He's right. He's out of those companies.
He's out of those companies that he was behind.
There were the two separate things, right? He drew the outrage for hiking the drug price, and the securities fraud charges were completely unrelated. But last hour, I wanted to pull up a piece of sound. You asked about the price hike that initially made him Farmer Bro.
Right.
And he continues to stand behind it. Here's his reasoning for that.
It's up to the company. If you raise prices and you don't take that cash and put it back into research, I think it's despicable. I think you should not be in the drug business. We take all of our cash, all of our extra profit, and spend it on research for these patients and other patients who have terrible, life-threatening, life-ending illnesses.
None of the shareholders are getting a piece of that. It's only going to research.
Yeah. And we've heard from...
and they haven't made money. He says they're continuing to lose money, right?
That's strange. And so the price is still $750.
Correct.
And meanwhile, he's got enough money to buy a $2 million Wu-Tang album.
Right, right. He admitted, I mean, he said he's one of the richest men in New York. He right now is free on bond in his apartment with his $45 million E-Trade account. So he has plenty of money, which
He does
admits.
have plenty of money, and he has plenty of money to spend on lawyers because that's what he's going to
A lot.
need
He'll
over
be
the
spending
next
a lot,
year,
for sure.
unfortunately. So
Steve Lacy, interesting stuff. Thanks a lot.
we're going to see more tonight on the 10 o'clock news?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay.
5 and 10.
And you can
Great
see
being
Steve
there.
and Derry for an hour. Thank you
Say
very
hello
much.
to Derry for
Appreciate
us.
it. Will do.
Okay.